Chloe Miller rejected me for the 10th time in bed, and I couldn't help but stage a scene with someone else. The moment she pushed open the bedroom door, I pretended there wasn't enough time to cover the naked woman beneath me, nor to steady my ragged breathing. There was no anticipated outburst. She simply said calmly, "Sorry to disturb you," and closed the bedroom door. She didn't care at all. In the end, I was the one who chased after her. Missing one slipper, I clumsily grabbed a hoodie and pulled Chloe back to ask, "Where are you going?" She turned around, her gaze lingering on my face, my neck, then sweeping downward. I instinctively moved to cover up. She averted her gaze. "Making room for you. It's not what you think." I stammered in defense. "She's just a friend I asked to pretend with me." "Why the act?" she asked. "Because," the words spilled out, "Chloe, don't you feel anything at all? Watching me with another woman. Didn't you care, even a little?" Hearing this, she lowered her gaze and stepped closer, straightening the crooked collar of my shirt, just as she had done countless mornings when adjusting my tie. Then she curved her lips slightly. "Ethan, what reaction were you hoping for from me? Should I be angry, screaming hysterically to demand why you did this? Or heartbroken, crying and begging you to love me and not break up?" Her cold fingertips touched my cheek. "I'm not that kind of person." "Two, what kind of person?" I seized her wrist tightly. "I'm not my brother, so you couldn't care less? What are you talking about?" She struggled. "Let go, you're hurting me." "Ethan, I'm not Connor, so you're always ice cold in bed. I'm not Connor, so you couldn't give a damn who I sleep with or whose bed I'm in." My rage was boiling over. Would you actually be relieved if I died someday? Finally free from being chained to Connor's memory? Slap! A stinging pain shot across my cheek. Chloe's eyes brimmed with disbelief. "Ethan, that's enough." I wiped my face roughly. "Yeah, it's enough. I'm damn well sick of it too. You don't have to leave. I'll get out of here." I strode toward the entrance hall. "The person in the room is a dummy. I couldn't bear to actually make you sad, not even for acting." I slammed the door shut. Act 3. The performance was fake. The sadness was real. After all, if Chloe wanted the stars in the sky, I'd have fought tooth and nail to pluck them down for her in the past. I genuinely pursued her for 5 years and loved her for 10. Even when drunk, she called out my brother Connor's name. I merely suppressed the bitterness and teased with a smile. "Wrong again, punishment is another kiss from you." She nodded blankly, apologizing, but what did it matter? My brother died when I was 15. I was being bullied, so he stood up for me and ended up stabbed repeatedly, without restraint. At the funeral, I saw Chloe for the first time. Dressed in a black dress, her whole body trembled with sobs, like a withered, swaying branch in the wind. I really envy my brother. My parents love him, and Chloe loves him too. The dead always seem more worthy of being cherished. My mother often loses her sanity, screaming at me, "Why couldn't it have been you who died?" Countless midnight nightmares, dreaming of my brother. I asked him, "Brother, can you come back? I'll die in your place." My brother remained silent, staring at me with cold, hollow eyes. He must hate me too. I'm the bearer of misfortune. Back in high school, Chloe was the top student in our class. She excelled academically and was beautiful. Many in our grade pursued her. Back then I was full of rebellion, wandering the streets with a baseball bat. No one cared how I was living. Only Chloe did. She would meticulously write me discipline slips, but also stick bandages on my broken nose saying "serves you right." But only I knew how gentle her touch was when tending my wounds. People say I hit the jackpot, that a slacker who barely scraped by in school managed to win the heart of the top-ranked girl in our grade. Chloe just smiles, the curve of her eyes perfectly gentle. She says, "Ethan is a wonderful person. I'm with him because I like him, because he's worth it." I tilt my head back, down the glass of liquor in one gulp, and joke, "See, my girlfriend loves me so much." The sting at the corner of my eyes trickled down with the scent of beer, swallowed into my gut. My brother's mole sits at the outer corner of his right eye. I don't have one. Our first kiss. Chloe turned her flushed face away to evade me. I didn't force her. Dazed, I touched her ear. A few seconds later, she leaned in to kiss me again. Solemn and devout. This person's kisses were even gentle, light as a feather, drifting down to land by my right eye. I understood. She was seeing through me, seeing who to kiss. 5. Chloe could never bear to speak harshly, never bear to be angry. That must be why she wept while begging me not to enter her body. Her refusal was whispered, so soft. She said she wasn't ready. I agreed. I liked her, of course I'd respect her wishes. But 5 whole years I waited. Who could endure that? I'm just a man too. People would laugh if they knew. 5 years. I'm sick of it too. Who the hell wants a lifetime of platonic love, playing the fool forever? But I can't bring myself to break up. Can't bear to leave Chloe. I can only keep pretending. I think, she does care about me, right? Even just a little, sex, Ethan. What a fucking pathetic simp. Joke. On the 7th day of July, my elder brother's Memorial Day. After that quarrel, Chloe and I never saw each other or spoke again. No blocking, simply neither reached out to the other. But tacitly, we stood before the tombstone. Before the stone, flowers bloomed once more, then withered. Chloe diligently replaced them with fresh ones, bowing her head to neaten the unruly weeds. The hem of her skirt was somewhat long. Crouching down, it brushed against the dust on the ground. I instinctively moved closer to help her carry it, then remembered we were actually in the middle of a Cold War. My movements froze. I cursed myself for being spineless. My brother's face remained frozen on the tombstone, sharp, handsome, forever young. He was smiling. Chloe was smiling too as she said, "Ethan, let's stop fighting. Let's make up," she said. I couldn't smile back. Nodding absently, I automatically replied, "Okay." I believe Chloe loves my brother, so I cling to her side like a desperate puppy, begging for scraps of that pitiful love by association. This is enough. At least when she's sober, she calls me by the right name. At least in her heart, there were moments when she genuinely liked me. This is enough. 8. The days pass unhurriedly. After graduation, I became a freelance writer and, by good fortune, managed to open a bookstore with the royalties from my first signed book. Daily life consisted of writing for me, while Chloe worked on design. We often spent entire days in our room. She drew, I wrote. Occasionally, we'd look up and lock eyes, and the curve of her smiling eyes would spark 10,000 inspirations in my heart. In the pages of the book, beneath the pen strokes, the heroine passionately loves the male lead. No one intervenes in their relationship. Others are mere seasoning. The girl's pure, scorching affection is reserved for him alone. The male lead has a successful career and healthy parents. Even in moments of defeat and despair, there's always someone to support and accompany him through the darkest valleys. Even the so-called darkest hour in the story's structure is merely encountering a major conflict or obstacle. A happy ending arrived. As I drew the final punctuation mark to close the chapter, I instinctively glanced at Chloe. She was lost in thought again. Strands of hair fluttered lightly by her ears as her pen paused to dot the mole at the corner of her eye on paper. I knew. She was thinking about my brother again. 9, I muttered, shutting my laptop before slamming my black-framed glasses onto the desk. Chloe was startled by the commotion and instinctively reached out to cover the drawing on the paper. No time to lose. Suddenly, I grabbed her and pushed her onto the bed, tearing the drawing paper into tiny pieces, scattering them like snowflakes in the air. A stray fragment drifted into my eye, stinging and itching fiercely. I leaned over, pressing Chloe down beneath me. I think I must be mad. I saw myself reflected in her eyes, out of control, raging, like a caged beast. I went to kiss her as usual. She turned her head away. I roughly tore off my belt, bound her wrists with it. Chloe's eyes were red, unable to break free. Those beautiful eyes filled with hurt. I was stung, eyes closed. I kissed her fiercely. Tears rolled down to my fingertips. Say it, I urged. Say you despise me. Say you hate me. Say it. Her eyes grew hollow. Ethan. Her voice trembled slightly toward the end. Let's end this here. Ethan, I like you too. Ethan, you're late again. Next time, I won't be waiting for you for sure. Ethan, if you make a wish upon a shooting star, will it really come true? If it does, I wish for you to be happy forever, just like you are right now. Ethan, let's be in love for a lifetime. Ethan, let's end it here. Ha, fuck it, that's enough. How ridiculous. Fine. I laughed so hard tears came to my eyes, nodding stiffly with my whole body. That's enough for us. 10. I forgot how I walked out of that room. The rain was pouring outside. I hailed a cab, and the driver asked where I wanted to go. Where could I go? I left in such a hurry. No wallet. Phone dead. The driver must see this often, tossing me a cigarette. Just a breakup, man. Don't be so hung up on it. There are plenty of women out there. Thanks, buddy. I managed to force a smile, my fingers trembling too much to hold the cigarette steady. As I raised it to my lips, I remembered Chloe's beautiful eyes again. Hadn't touched one in 5 years. Not since that moment she frowned at the smell of smoke. Never bought another pack after that. Whatever she didn't like, I'd gladly give up. That day on the mountaintop, facing a sky full of shooting stars, the wish she spoke aloud was for me to be forever happy. Yet in her heart, did she truly hope to stay with me for a lifetime? Or was it that she wished my brother, alone down below, wouldn't feel lonely or sorrowful? Plenty of fish in the sea. I clenched the cigarette between my teeth, took a deep drag, and let the smoke fill my lungs, that long-forgotten sensation. Why cling to a dying tree? By 11 p.m., we'd reached the motel. After a hasty shower, I sat on the edge of the bed, reflexively reaching for my cigarette pack. Found nothing. Annoyance grew. Plugged in my phone. Powered it on. It buzzed immediately. Fatty was calling. One of my few remaining friends. Back then, it was just because I happened to pull him out of a gang beating that those guys started holding a grudge against me. Rich kids who've been bullying at school for too long don't know how to hold back. Anyway, his family paid for all the school buildings. What's there to be afraid of? Back then, my brother's blood splattered all over Fatty's body. He fainted on the spot from fright. Woke up crying uncontrollably, slapping himself while trembling and saying, "Brother Ethan, it's all my fault, blame me for being useless, blame." I stopped him. What was his fault anyway? The damn world's the one to blame. Those guys ended up getting a slapdash education and were locked up for a few days. I let it go. But the death incident made me keep my head down completely. I grabbed a brick and beat the guy who stabbed my brother half to death. If Chloe hadn't stopped me in the end, clutching me desperately and begging me not to do it, I might have. Sigh. Why am I thinking about her again? 12. The phone keeps ringing stubbornly. Remembered sending Fatty a breakup message before turning off my phone completely. That kid's probably going to keep asking about this, I answered, just as I expected. Fatty, Ethan, you finally picked up. What do you want? He sighed. I was worried you might do something rash. I laughed. Am I really the type to get hung up on love? He paused for a moment. I don't know about love, but for Chloe, you would. Now it was my turn to fall silent. Neither of us spoke another word. Outside, the rain continued to fall, hammering against the window panes, the air thick and oppressive. Ethan, maybe I should go with you for a drink, I'm hungry. I interrupted him, rubbing my numb stomach. ? I said I'm hungry. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, so hungry it hurts. I hung up the phone, attributing the hollow ache in my heart to hunger. Just hungry. I'll feel better after eating. It's just a breakup. What's the big deal? What does Chloe Miller even matter? 13. Soon, there was a knock at the door. The delivery person was a fairly young girl. I reached out my hand to her, but unexpectedly she threw herself directly at me, wrapping her arms around my waist and burying her face in my chest. Let's get started, bro. I struggled to peel her off me. Little sister? Are you mistaking me for someone else? She shook her head while glancing up. Nope, room 1407, 6'1", super handsome. $1,000 per night. The chubby guy told me that. A chubby person? A fat guy? It took me a moment to process, leaving me torn between laughter and tears. Let go first. Listen to me, it's a misunderstanding. Hey, you first. But though she was small, her grip was surprisingly strong. She lunged at me again. The impact against my chest sent sharp pain radiating through me as I stumbled backward. The door closed in almost 2 or 3 steps. I reached the bedside. She lifted her face, her arms hooking around my neck, and blinked her deer-like round eyes. Sir, which position do you prefer? 14. I prefer you get off me, I said in a deep voice, pushing her away with one hand while grabbing my phone with the other. This is a misunderstanding. She was taken aback. I answered the phone and switched on the speaker. Ethan, isn't she gorgeous? She's the star of the club. I pinched the bridge of my nose. I said I was hungry. Why did you call a girl over for me? He chuckled, his tone downright punchable. Stepping out of the shadows, huh? I thought you were craving something. Damn you, shut the hell up. I hung up the phone and looked up. It didn't scare me at all. The girl was already half undressed. I closed my eyes, entwined my fingers with hers, and wrapped her entire body in the blanket. She opened her eyes and stared blankly at me. I sighed. Don't take it off. We don't have to do anything tonight. I'll give you 10 grand. Just leave. It occurred to me again that I hadn't brought anything with me. Now it really did seem like I'd come out to freeload. Put it on credit for now. I'll pay you back in a few days. I grabbed the pen and notepad from the bedside table and handed them to her. Write down your bank account number for me. What are you crying for? The person before me was sobbing uncontrollably, tears gleaming as they traced along the corners of their eyes and fell. Sir, you're so kind. Can I follow you from now on? With tearful eyes, she looked at me. Don't worry, I won't do anything. Just let me stay with you. I'll do anything. 15. This is all just nonsense. Fine. I shook my head. Honestly, I've never had a taste for saving damsels in distress. Though I've got a bit of spare cash on hand lately, don't ask for more, I'm tapped out. Sir, she said sincerely, you're a good man. How strange. In this world besides Chloe, there's actually a second person who calls me a good man. What a cheap evaluation. I scoffed with self-deprecating laughter, then added, life properly, get a decent job, stop messing around with these shady side gigs all day. Sir, do you think I'm dirty? Her voice tinged with grievance. It's not about being dirty or not. My brother told me, you gotta live well, relying on anyone else is useless. Whether you earn more or less depends on your own skills. I ain't against you doing this line of work, but still feel, using your body to earn money is not worth it. Never mind, forget about it. I squinted my eyes and said, your choice is your own business, just don't regret it. You can't even manage your own life, yet here you are lecturing others. But sir, she bit her lower lip, forcing a faint smile. I had no choice, said 16-year-old Jasmine, kicked out by my stepmother and stepsister. The young mistress was spoiled rotten, her temper tyrannical. My father, rolling in wealth, had his brains clogged by oil, utterly besotted by beautiful women. She thought her daughter was out gaining experience in the world. In reality, her stepmother and stepsister had arranged for her to be knocked unconscious and taken to a distant city. Jasmine woke up shivering on the street. When I was younger, I stubbornly refused to go back. Later, I realized I simply couldn't survive alone in an unfamiliar place. She said flatly, as if recounting someone else's story. Lived in a basement, worked at an internet cafe, toiled away for several months, but the boss refused to pay, saying I'd eaten and lived for free, so it was cancelled out. At that time, I wanted to go home, but the family had gone bankrupt, and home was gone. She lowered her gaze, her fingers tracing circles on the white dress. I had nothing, stumbling into the club to work as a hostess. At least I finally had food to eat and a roof over my head. At first I only entertained by drinking and laughing, never sleeping with them. But as more clients asked for me, the boss said if I kept pretending, I could get out. His money wasn't for freeloaders. Jasmine, what's with this holier-than-thou act from a woman like you? She mimicked his tone. I asked him, what kind of woman am I? She stopped and turned to look at me. Sir, what do you think? 17, I listened intently, somewhat taken aback, and after a long pause finally blurted out, quite brave. Charging headlong? She burst into laughter. You're really amusing. I've only known you for a few hours. I don't really understand you. I answered earnestly. Anything I say would be too subjective. Do you know what he said? Jasmine's eyes were red. He said, isn't she just a gold digger who likes to build a memorial arch for herself? A surge of inexplicable fury rose within me, and I muttered under my breath, bastard. She copied me, whispering bastard too, then looked up with a forced smile. Later I got smarter. I'd wait at the hotel until they went to shower before fleeing. And if their wives called to check on them mid-session, I could even report them while I was at it. Didn't your boss notice? She looked proud as she said, I'm clever enough. Besides, these rich men may be lustful, but they still care about their reputation. When my mother was alive, I never suffered any grievances, hardly even heard harsh words a few times. She sniffled. After she left, no one was willing to love me anymore. So sir, tonight I was actually planning to run away while you were showering. I was left both amused and exasperated by her jumping thoughts, so I retorted, do I look that unsatisfied? No, you're different from them. She said sincerely, you're handsome and kind. 18. Jasmine eventually followed me to New Orleans together. The university where my brother studied before he passed away was also the place where he found Chloe. My brother was exceptionally intelligent, earning admission to an Ivy League university at just 16 through early admission. My parents poured all their hopes and favoritism into him. It's quite ironic, actually. My brother was doing volunteer work when he uncovered some inappropriate conduct by the orphanage director. After secretly investigating several times to gather evidence, he was accidentally discovered by the orphanage director. That man actually went completely mad and set a fire, trying to disguise it as an accident to burn all the witnesses to death. My brother desperately broke open the lock and, out of the corner of his eye, spotted Chloe frozen in fear in a corner. Gritting his teeth, he turned back to carry her on his back and stumbled out to escape. The police shut down the orphanage and severely punished those involved. The orphanage was no more. Chloe had no home left either. My brother had always been kind-hearted since childhood. He scrimped and saved, took on part-time jobs, and managed to support Chloe by his side with his scholarship money. Back then he was 17, a young hero praised by all. Chloe was 12. A skinny little thing hiding behind my brother. Her pretty, smooth face tilted proudly upwards, eyes shimmering with admiration. The journalist captured this moment. This photo always stayed tucked in my brother's wallet. So your brother likes her too? Jasmine asked. I shook my head. My brother already likes someone, his senior from school. He only sees Chloe as a little sister. What about her? Does she like your brother? I lit a cigarette and lowered my gaze. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stayed by my side willingly for so many years. Jasmine pursed her lips and took a swig of beer. Ah, the substitute trope, how terribly cliched. Honestly, I wouldn't stick around if I were you. How utterly humiliating. Hey Ethan, cut down on the smoking, your lungs are practically drafty. I chuckled and stubbed out the cigarette anyway. Fidgeting with my fingertips, I suddenly felt a pang of loneliness. Tell me about it. Yeah, pretty frustrating, I said, picking up the soda can at my feet and tossing it toward the trash bin, a perfect arc through the air. Whoever falls in love first is the loser. Both Chloe and I lost completely. 19. The summer night in New Orleans was damp and sultry, and Jasmine began clamoring to return to the hotel before long, though I insisted she didn't need to pay and that I'd cover all our expenses along the way. She stubbornly kept meticulous records of every penny, writing IOUs, and swearing she'd repay everything once she earned money. I laughed it off, not taking it seriously. Traffic was heavy on the way back. The taxi driver was a local born and raised here. He had the radio on, exuding a relaxed vibe, chatting with us in a genuine southern accent. He mentioned having a daughter still in elementary school who had just called to ask when daddy could come home. He gave a bitter smile. By the time I get back, she'll have been asleep for ages. But the whole family depended on him to make ends meet. Before getting out of the car, I quietly tucked a few dozen yuan under the seat cushion. Jasmine caught sight of it with sharp eyes. After walking a stretch of road after getting off the car, she spoke up again, saying, "Ethan, you're a really great person." "Hey, do me a favor and stop handing out nice guy cards," I said, casting a sidelong glance at her. "I'd rather be a ruthless villain without a heart." Jasmine laughed for a long while before speaking again. "The friend I met at the nightclub before is different from me. She knows exactly what she wants, so she sleeps with different men to extract value from them. She often says I'm stubborn and childish, but what does it matter if I earn money through my own abilities? Self-respect is the least valuable thing." I asked Jasmine if she loved them. Jasmine seemed puzzled. "Is love a prerequisite for sex?" I was taken aback. She tilted her head and looked at me. "Ethan, do you desire me?" The maiden's cheeks flushed pink, her simple white dress outlining graceful curves. Beautiful, radiant. As a man, yes I do. I admitted honestly, but as a man, no. "That's a shame." She waved her hand dismissively. "You're actually quite my type." After walking a bit further, Molly asked quietly, "So do you still love her now?" The wind began to blow. I raised my eyes toward the distance and didn't answer again. 20. Calling it a body double trope would be too pathetic. The truth is, Chloe gave me so much. After reaching adulthood, I rarely went back home. No, that wasn't my home. On the wall of the living room's central shrine hung my older brother's black and white memorial portrait. My mother would often cook an entire table of dishes, then curl up in the living room wiping tears while facing my brother's portrait. She would stay there the whole day, from being utterly devastated at first to desperately seeking out mediums in an attempt to have her spirit inhabit another body. To lend my body and return my brother's spirit, she forced me to swallow bowl after bowl of foul-smelling, blackened holy water. If I refused, she would press a knife against her wrist, her eyes brimming with despair and sorrow, just staring at me like that. I met her gaze calmly as well, then I raised my head and drained the bowl of medicine. The worst time, I was sent to the hospital to get my stomach pumped. When I woke up, she was sitting by my bedside, her voice hoarse as she repeatedly apologized. "It's my fault," she said, one of her rare moments of lucidity. Later on, she gradually gave up and became convinced that my brother wasn't dead, that he was alive and well. He would push open the door as usual, she believed, smile and say, "Mom, I'm home." I wanted to take her to the hospital, to see a psychiatrist. She screamed hysterically for me to get out. "Ethan, you just can't stand to see your brother doing well." Tears streamed down her face as her nails dug deep scratches into the back of my hand. "You did this on purpose." She shoved me out the door. "Get out. I never want to see you again in my life." I couldn't tell if she was lucid or truly mad, but the hatred burning fiercely in her eyes felt utterly real. After that day, I never went back. Every month, I just send a fixed sum of money home, hiring a caregiver to ensure my mother stays alive. One time, my mother received the money and, unusually, sent me a reply. "Son, thank you." I opened it and felt my breath catch. Immediately after, came the next message. "Connor, work may be busy, but take care of your health. Remember to visit your mom often. Connor." She's calling him brother. I turned off my phone and felt like the damn heavens were playing me for a fool. As for my dad, he couldn't take it anymore and filed for divorce a long time ago, then moved out. He went off to live what they call a normal life. Got himself a new wife, a beautiful daughter, a healthy and whole family. "Son, don't blame your old man." His cigarette-holding fingers trembled slightly as he exhaled a dense, lingering cloud of smoke. "People always have to keep moving forward." Yes, people always have to keep moving forward. Only my mother remained trapped in place. During those days when she collected my hair and blood, plastering talismans all over my room, I began to lose the ability to feel pain. Only numbness remained. No one cared how I was doing. Except for her. Except for Chloe. "Does this hurt too much?" Chloe dipped a cotton swab in iodine and cautiously dabbed it onto the scratches my mother had left on the back of my hand. "Blow on it gently from time to time, just like coaxing a child." I found it amusing as she mistook my reaction for pain and proceeded even more gently. "Someone actually cares," I thought, watching her focused gaze. Somehow the words slipped out. "Chloe, let's get married. How about it?" She paused what she was doing, then simply said, "Ethan, what we have now is good enough." 21. How wonderful. My cigarette-laden fingers trembled as I gazed through the drifting smoke at what was once our home. The lights were on, curtains drawn tight, shadows moved inside. Chloe must be tending to her flowers. She likes it very much. I imagine her appearance as I patiently trim the stray branches, bury the roots, and change the water. She looks at me with smiling eyes. "Ethan, is it beautiful?" I nodded and said it was beautiful, ostensibly praising the flowers, but in my heart, I was thinking of someone else. "I only bought this apartment after making money. When we first started the business in college, Chloe and I had no money. We were very poor. Drifting through New York, squeezed into a tiny Brooklyn apartment. Every morning I still wonder whether it's AM or PM. The blanket's damp, the room's pitch dark. Sometimes rain leaks right through. coming home at night, breaking a single instant noodle block into 2 meals. While waiting for the water to boil, I suddenly felt overwhelmed with exhaustion. It must be so hard, being with me, I said. Chloe smiled and said it wasn't hard at all, that she was truly happy. I have a home in New York now too. Her eyes curved into crescents, lashes fluttering like butterfly wings. I stared at her in a daze. Later, when I finally could, I really did give her a home. But why, in the end, did we still drift apart? The wind rises. My eyes feel dry, my vision blurs against my will. I stub out the cigarette, wrap myself in my coat, and crawl back into the car. 22. I rented a small apartment in the suburbs where I can see mountains shrouded in morning mist. Still writing daily. Few contacts. Occasionally, a message from my mother asking, "Son, when will you return?" I replied, "Were you asking about Ethan, or Connor?" What followed was a phone call filled with the woman's hysterical screaming and sobbing from the other end. I muted the call, placed the phone on the table, and let her vent. Chloe had also sent several messages. "Ethan, have you been okay lately? Do you ever think of me too?" I hesitated for a long time, deleting and rewriting. In the end, I chose not to reply. Jasmine was forced by me to take the community college entrance exam. After burying herself in studies for over half a year, that girl actually passed. The sunny day found her holding the college admission letter, dragging me out to celebrate with a feast. Beaming before me with a grin so wide her eyes nearly disappeared, she raised the letter high, practically spinning with joy as if she could twirl 100 times on the spot. Her eyes crinkled with laughter as she said, "Ethan, look, I'm a proper university student now." Amused, I gave a token clap. Indeed, an outstanding university student. She still wanted to say something, but her expression suddenly froze on her face. Her gaze fell behind me. I turned around following her line of sight. My eyes landed on the girl standing not far away. Chloe was silently watching us, her face pale. In her eyes was a melancholy I couldn't understand. "Is that sister-in-law?" Jasmine reacted first, leaning in to whisper in my ear. I gave a vague She grinned triumphantly. Seems sister-in-law misunderstood. "Shut it," I muttered. "We broke up ages ago." "TSK, a guess ago," she teased, suddenly hugging me before I could dodge, then pulling away just as quickly. "Ethan, I'm just tying up loose ends for you." She winked at me and scampered away with a spring in her step. I froze on the spot. With nowhere to hide, Chloe fixed me with an intense gaze. A few seconds passed. She walked toward me in silence. "Ethan, can we talk?" 24. Outside the school, that old street remained unchanged. Following it leads to the railroad tracks where trains pass by along the way. During school days, Chloe and I loved coming here the most. She walked ahead, and I followed behind. Every day, she would test me on 100 English words and 50 formulas. If I got them right, she'd promise to grab hot dogs with me at the snack street after class. Getting them wrong meant no punishment after all. There was always tomorrow. There's always next time, the day before the prom. "We're still here," she said, grateful, appreciative. I replied, "Appreciate." She said, "There is beauty in imperfection." I replied, "Imperfection is beauty." She said, "Precious things." I paused. "Chloe." She froze, then shook her head with a laugh. "Wrong, Ethan." Yet a blush crept across her cheeks. So I repeated it again. "Chloe." I took 2 steps forward and stood still beside her. The first time walking side by side with her, I said, "Chloe, the most precious person in my life." 25. Now, still on this old street. She walks ahead. I follow behind. Yet it feels as if a whole decade of youth has passed between us. I think, it seems I've never caught up to her. Chloe has grown much thinner, like a sail trembling in the wind. "How have you been lately?" we said in unison. It felt funny the moment we said it. "I'm doing well," she replied. "Not well," I said. "Do you regret it?" I asked her. Chloe didn't answer. I stubbornly asked again. "Do you regret breaking up with me?" Her footsteps halted. She turned her head to look at me. "Ethan, I went back to the Great Salt Lake again the year before last. The place where we once waited for shooting stars. I was so exhausted after returning home that I fell asleep while cooking porridge and forgot to turn off the stove. I woke up already in the hospital, preparing to enter the operating room. With no family around, a close colleague signed the consent forms for me. That was the closest I've ever been to death." I looked up in shock, catching the bitter smile at the corner of her lips. "Before the surgery, all I could think about was you, about seeing you. I was afraid I'd die and never see you again." Tears streamed down from the corners of her eyes, falling to the ground. I could barely control my expression any longer, clenching my fists and forcing myself to endure. She continued, "You asked if I regret it. How could I not? I delayed you, hurt you for so many years. What right do I have to even speak of regret?" It was early spring, and a migratory egret in the distance drew a white arc across the sky, like a meteor that hadn't had time to fall. "Ethan," Chloe said softly, "wishing you a happy marriage." 26. The person before me had a pale face, with faint dark circles beneath their eyes. My eyes stung. Why lie to me even now? I sighed inwardly and reached for the canvas bag she was carrying. She instinctively hid it behind her back. I had to use some force to pull it over. Papers scattered everywhere, medical records, lab reports, x-rays, and a large bag of medication. Chloe crouched down to pick them up, her soft black hair covering most of her face, leaving only a glimpse of her pale chin. "What's wrong with you?" I asked, trying to help her. She shook her head, refusing me. "It's nothing," then hastily covered up with her hands. "It's the flu. The flu's been really bad lately." I went, "Oh, so for the flu, you need such expensive targeted injections?" Her head jerked up suddenly, her eyes filled with shock and panic. I stared straight at her. "How long do you plan to keep hiding it from me? Wait until I receive your congratulations on my wedding card, then get a critical condition notice from the hospital, and finally hold your ashes while cursing myself for being blind not to have noticed earlier?" "Ethan, stop making excuses. I already know everything." I sighed softly. "Can't you just try relying on me for once?" The atmosphere grew heavy. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "Ethan, I don't want to burden you. I've asked around. This illness, it's very hard to cure. It'll cost so much money. I'll become ugly. All my hair will be shaved off." She sniffled. "I hope in your heart, I'll always be beautiful." "Oh, should I thank you for that, ex-girlfriend?" I chuckled coldly, unable to resist giving her cheek a hard pinch. "Chloe, has your brain turned to mush? You think keeping me at arm's length until I gradually lose hope and give up completely is the answer? Would you rather have me live the rest of my life drowning in guilt after finding out? Or were you hoping I'd weep at your grave laying flowers and praising my ex-girlfriend was so noble and perfect?" She winced in pain, her eyes reddening as she blinked up at me. "And you even wished me happiness in my marriage." The more I spoke, the angrier I got. I was about to explode. Barely containing my rage, I finally spat out, "Chloe, when it comes to acting, no one could compete with you for first place." The air froze into dead silence. She kept her head bowed, fingers clutching at each other in dismay. I gazed at her quietly for a long moment. With belated realization, I understood she wasn't angry. My heart ached for her. The pain sank too deep. With a sigh, I gently pulled her closer and wrapped her in my embrace. Her entire body felt cold against mine. Cradling the back of her head with my palm, I leaned in and murmured beside her ear, "Since you're ill, focus on getting well. The sky won't collapse. If money runs short, I'll find a way. I'm not getting married, so don't even think about pushing me off to someone else. You're beautiful, Chloe. You were beautiful before, and you're beautiful now, thin and ill, beautiful no matter what." She shivered slightly. Scalding tears trickled down my neck with each breath. It scalded me to the point of breathlessness. I asked the same question again. "Will you marry me?" That trip to New Orleans made me realize many things at 27. About Chloe, my feelings blur between love indistinct and hate unclear, all tangled together. I admit there's no escaping it for the rest of my life. I think, so be it. Whoever she likes, let her be. Until that night, she said she almost died from gas poisoning. Her colleague called me. The colleague spoke in a panicked voice, saying Chloe had suddenly had a nosebleed and fainted at work, then was rushed to the hospital. Unable to reach her family, the colleague didn't know what to do. After arriving at the hospital, I thanked the colleague and paid part of the fees. I stayed outside the operating room all night. The next day, I listed the house and the car with a property broker. It wasn't gas poisoning at all. It was cancer. Mid-stage. It was during her post-surgery coma that I went back home. I still ended up prying open the locked drawer in her room. It was full of hidden test reports and medical records. The densely packed abnormal indicators were horrifying to see. Beside them lay her diary. The handwriting above was familiar, elegant and beautiful calligraphy in cursive script. "Fought with Ethan again, wanted to say sorry, but he'll probably soften up as usual. I like him so much, it's hard to let go. Can't keep going on like this. Must break up when the follow-up examination comes. The medicine tastes so bitter, don't want to take it. Threw up again today. Ethan, miss you so much. I dreamed of that person again today. His hands, his voice, his smell. Disgusting, 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 disgusting. Why me? Why specifically me?" I sat on the edge of the bed and silently finished reading the entire diary. After finishing an entire pack of cigarettes, I finally understood what had been tormenting Chloe for all these years. She suffered prolonged mental torment and harassment in the orphanage. It was my brother who rescued her from hell. She took a long time to get her life back on track. Her feelings for my brother, it's not affection, not love. It's dependency. And as for Chloe towards me, she didn't refuse to love me, she didn't dare. She feels she's not worthy of me, and being ill only strengthened her resolve to leave me. How foolish, how utterly stupid. So what if you're ill? What does the past matter? I cradled her face and kissed her with solemn devotion. I don't care at all. Chloe, marry me. Her tears rolled down my collar and fell where my heart was, burning with a bitter ache. She shook her head, then nodded, finally breaking down in tears. 28. The path to treatment was long and painful. Money flowed like water, the bookstore was sold, the car was gone, and I wrote more desperately than ever. Upon learning the situation, Fatso handed me a card without a word, saying it was what he owed my brother and me all those years. Take it, Ethan brother. This is all I've got saved, don't mind how little. Sister-in-law comes first. His eyes were also slightly red. I took it, patting him on the shoulder. Jasmine worked part-time on weekends, earning little money, but every last penny went toward Chloe's medical expenses. Calling it repaying a debt, she would often skip class to visit Chloe at the hospital. Over time, they grew so close that they'd whisper secrets behind my back, giggling uncontrollably. When asked, they'd just say it was a secret they couldn't share. Chloe's spirits were slowly improving. Though still physically weak, her smiles became more frequent. Occasionally she would whisper to me, Ethan, Molly is a good girl. I see, I replied, ruffling her hair, you too. I'm not deaf to the underlying meaning in her words, but neither Jasmine nor I have any such intentions. This girl chats about handsome guys at school every day, and the slightest annoyance sets her off kicking, still acting like a spoiled little princess without a shred of change. Rumor has it that her irresponsible father has turned over a new leaf. After making a comeback, he finally saw through his stepmother's true nature, got divorced, and now wants to reconcile with his daughter. I'm not that easy to coax, Jasmine said, holding the bank card her father had given her as she rushed to the inpatient department to pay the bill. And until you've paid up enough, don't even think about talking to me. With curved eyes smiling at Chloe, she added, at least he's good for something, helping treat my sister-in-law. Chloe burst into laughter, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Just threw on a hoodie randomly, I said, pulling Chloe to a stop and asking. Another year has passed. Sunlight crept through the window cracks into the hospital room. Chloe gazed at the birds streaking past the windowsill, her eyes shimmering with unfurling mirth. I gazed at her, making a wish, praying for peace, chanting for smooth sailing. I hope to spend countless more springs by her side. The end.